Welcome to Faith, Reason, and Geekdom. I'm your genuflexer, Roger. Join me every other Wednesday as we work out these three perspectives in our everyday lives. That's what I call Christian genuflexing. Father Brandon Berg, thank you once again for joining me to do this review. So excited. Thank you for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Roger. Great to be back in studio with you. Thank you.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. So last time we did an episode, it was on doubt and more of the kind of like the theological, kind of philosophical kind of doubt, like where is God? And then Christians feeling that doubt. And from that, you came up with the idea. You asked me if I seen the movie Doubt, and I was like, actually, I've never seen it. I've seen trailers. I've heard of it, but I never watched a movie. So then after that, I think a few days later, I actually saw the movie. It's on actually HBO Max. So and it was great, and I thank you for recommending that. So you guys listening again, thank you guys for joining us. I'm with Father Brandon Berg. Also, he's one of the co-hosts of the Brothers Hut podcast. He's here with me, and what we're going to do is we're going to do a little review of the movie, the 2008 movie Doubt. Philip Seymour Hoffman as Father Brendan Flint, I think. And the great Meryl Streep is playing one of the sisters of the school. You got little appearances by Viola Davis as Mrs. Miller. Amy Adams plays Sister James. You got other great actors in there and actresses throughout the movie, but those are the three main characters. We're going to follow Philip Seymour Hoffman as he plays the main priest, and then Amy Adams, Sister James, and then the other sister is going to be played by the great Meryl Streep. And this came out in 2008. When did you?
Wow.
Yeah, long man.
I didn't know it was that long ago. I had seen it. I don't think I saw it in the theater. I joined the Friars in 2009. So yeah, I remember liking it when I saw it. I've kind of been. I like Amy Adams as an actress. I think she's talented and beautiful, so I knew that she was in it, and I had wanted to see it. And it's powerful. Yeah, it really kind of keeps it on the edge of your seat, somewhat like tense in a like a non-threatening way, and I knew I had enjoyed it. So, yeah, I mean, I guess I came up with the idea, but your show is called Faith, Reason, and Geekdom, so I think I just took the idea from you, Roger. So don't give me too much credit.
Yeah. Well, I thank you for pushing me to see this movie because I was interested in it and I wanted to see it. I think Philip Seymour Hoffman, he passed away several years ago. I think he's an amazing actor. He went from the comedy. I remember seeing him in Along Came Polly, which was like a comedy. Like he played his goofball best friend with Ben Stiller, and I just remember him like Rain Man. I remember he used to play basketball, and he used to that scene, the famous scene, I guess, where the guy he's like extremely hairy, like werewolf, and then he just like jumps up and hits Ben Stiller's face, but he's his goofball friend, and it's a comedy. So Philip Seymour Hoffman, and then you see him in other movies, the one with Joaquin Phoenix. I think about Scientology or something like that. You've seen him in Mission Impossible movies, other movies. So I think he's a really good actor. Again, I don't know if you knew this, but this was directed by John Patrick Shanley, and this was also a Tony Award-winning stage play, Doubt. It was called Doubt, a Parable. And it's actually a very award-winning stage play that in 2004 it won the Tony Award for that. So so they just adapted it, but it was and if you see the movie, you can see now that you know that it was a stage play. Can you tell like from the movie? Because I certainly when I saw it, I was like, this is a really good movie, but like I can see it as a play because there's a lot of dialogue.
No, I actually either read or saw or knew that about it, that it had been theater production. And yeah, once I saw that and once I viewed the movie again, yeah, I could see that it would be a powerful play. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah,
So.
maybe even better than, I mean, obviously the movie was great, but
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah, it was good. That's
Yeah,
a good
definitely
point.
some award nominations for the movie and the director and the actors and actresses in there. Very wonderful movie, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
grateful for you putting me onto this. So
Hmm.
let's jump into like the first part of the movie. The beginning, it's set like in 1964. So this is a
Okay.
period piece, and you can tell by the
Yes.
opening shot of the little sleepy town. It's cold. You see one of the altar boys getting ready, and they're getting ready to do
Uh-huh.
the mass. They're getting ready to
Uh-huh.
serve. I would say it's a very nice production. I love the what like the costumes and the I guess set pieces because again they had to go back in time like in the 60s. So and you can tell
Mm-hmm.
the Catholic is it's a very Catholic town. Like it just gives me those old
Mm-hmm.
1950s Catholic town feels of America.
Yes.
Like so the opening right from the beginning, like I was very interested. You see them getting ready for mass, and then they're doing the service, and you see Philip Seymour Hoffman playing the priest, and I thought he
Uh-huh.
looks great in this. The one that made me laugh is the great Meryl Streep goes up and down as he's giving his homilies, and she starts. She's in the
Yes.
costume, with the what do you I got a priest on here, so what do you call those? What she's wearing?
No, I think it's just the veil, like the how she wears the full habit and the
Yeah,
veil, and
it's
then
black and it's
yeah,
like poking out. Like it's like you
yeah.
like a football helmet almost. I was like, how do they see the peripheral? Like it's very yeah.
Yeah, a lot of different religious orders had a lot of different history for their habits and their veils and the shape of them. I can't remember. Does it ever say specifically if she's supposed to be a member of a particular order?
You know what? That's what I was about to
I
ask
don't
you.
believe so,
That's
huh?
what. No, it
Yeah.
doesn't. It doesn't. But I was going to ask you. Like, can you guess what? Yeah, it doesn't. It doesn't say
Hmm.
in the movie. It doesn't say
Yeah.
because I would have wrote that down, but I didn't. I didn't catch that. So I was going to ask you if you knew
Yeah.
what order they were in, or
Yeah.
I know
It's
they're
probably more
teaching.
of like a
If you had a
it's probably
guess.
more of like a generic. Yeah, there were so many teaching orders founded
Hmm.
hundreds of years ago that
She I guess she notices she has even with the like football helmet the peripheral block she still got the senses like the nun senses like
oh
spider
yeah.
senses tingling and she goes up and down the up and down through the pews like pews I guess checking everybody. You have the people talking and then she slaps the boy in the back of the head that's asleep. Do you
Yeah.
I went to Catholic school for a little bit but not a long time, and the only other place I've seen that is like the Blues Brothers. Like remember like did you have any, I don't know if you ever witnessed that, or like the nun, the stereotypical nuns that are going
Hmm.
around with the ruler. Did you ever experience or seen that or heard stories of that?
I heard stories. Yeah, I went to a Catholic high school, but by the time I got there, the nuns didn't wear the habit anymore. So yeah, I haven't. That was before my era, as they say.
And then we see one of the little boys is the African American boy. He's in there and he goes to the Philip Seymour Hoffman. He goes to the priest and he's telling him that he wants to be a priest. He's like, I want to do that. And I thought it was very heartwarming because he looked like he was really like interested in that. And then for vocations, that's very good. And Philip Seymour Hoffman gives him a little like a little gift, like a little mirror. I don't know.
Hmm.
Have you ever seen those? I mean, I've never seen those. I'm not too sure if that's like a nostalgic thing
Yeah, I
or
think it has
it's
something to
past our
do with like.
time. Yeah.
I think it has something to do with magnets.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And there's one magnet in your hand and one magnet on this little dancing doll, and then you
Hmm.
kind of make it bounce around like that.
Yeah. So I want to ask you, what did you like about that scene, or how realistic is that? Like, have you ever had somebody like that, like, oh, hey, Father Brandon, I want to do that, or I'm interested, or anything you can speak on in that whole scene that we talked about?
Yeah, there's when I used to live in Denver, there's a parish right across the street called St. Anthony of Padua, and a couple of the brothers helped out pretty substantially with the youth group, and it's more like a family group, so there would be older kids and younger kids and parents helping out. Yeah, and there was one kid specifically who would say, I want to be like you guys, I want to be a priest. And yeah, I've asked other children that before, and yeah, sometimes you get a positive answer that kids are already thinking about that from a young age. So that's always kind of moving for me. So yeah, I mean, it's a real thing. When I was in college, actually, I had one of the monks sort of approach me. We were both outside. I think I was at this place. There's kind of a natural overlook above a river outside the college I went to. Mm-hmm. And he was walking by and he stopped to talk and he's like, I think you could fit into the monastery with us. And I was like, what? Mm-hmm. So
I was wondering if when that boy said, I want to be like you, did you do like the Billy Madison thing, like where you go up to his face and you just stay little as long as you can, and you like squeeze his cheeks? I don't know if you've seen that movie, the Adam Sandler, the Billy Madison. That's a Billy Madison reference.
Sure.
Okay, so
I don't remember that reference, no. But I have seen that movie. But yeah.
He's like, don't you say that, and he just squeezes him. It's like,
whoa.
What is that? And I like the part where the at a Catholic school, and you see sister, she's like looking like a hawk, and then she spots one of the boys. I think one of the boys like just touches her shoulder of Sister James, and then she's like,
William London, come up here. Come smartly now. Don't make me wait.
Dragon is hungry.
So yeah, that was one of my favorite lines too.
So right off the back with the walking up and down the church, slapping the boy, and then that scene where the father and Sister James are like, "Uh-oh, the dragon's hungry." From right there, it sets up that she's like very, very strict. Right, that sets it up from the beginning. That she's very strict. She's not somebody to be messed with. Meryl Streep's character, the sister, she's like the principal of the school. So as her job, she's the principal. So I guess that's why she's hard line, kind of keeping everything in check. And she says that throughout the movie, something about you have to. Good, I want them to fear me. Because I think Sister James says everyone's afraid of you, and she's like, "Good, it's her job. It's the principal."
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Why are you so mean? Everyone's afraid of you. Good. Yeah. Yeah. That's definitely her goal, is to be a domineering presence.
Yes.
Yeah.
But you see her already having doubts on the priest. She doesn't like him. She talks to Sister Mary James, and she's like, keep an eye out for him. I don't trust him, stuff like that. She's going about saying that she doesn't trust him. Something's up. She just doesn't, I guess, his homilies or whatever it is. And she kind of plants, that's where the seed of doubt starts. That little, like we talked about, kind of seeds, planting good ones. We talked about good seeds and planting good fruit. And then now here is bad seeds, planting rotten fruit,
I want you all to be alert. I am concerned, perhaps needlessly, about matters in St. Nicholas School.
Academically?
I was not inviting a guessing game, Sister Raymond.
Gossip, I guess, and later on in the movie that turns up, that gossip. So a little seed of doubt is planted in Sister James's head, because she's from the movie. What did you think about Amy Adams' character? Like, from her character development, what they were trying to show, that who she is and the way she is in the movie. What did you think about her?
Yeah, I thought it was very realistic, of a kind of good-hearted,
yes,
but somewhat naive side of the teaching career, of the convent life. I thought she played it really well. She kind of showed that, like, the tension between, like, what the principal wants, so this kind of hard line.
Like the rookie and the new, like cops, like, oh, I'm a veteran, I'm jaded, and then you have the young rookie, like, I'm gonna save the world, and it's like kind of like.
No, that's a good analogy. Yeah, between the kind of fresh faced, let's just love the children and
Yes,
let's help
yes.
them grow versus like we gotta snap the whip on these little punks, so they learn something. So yeah, there was a great dichotomy there.
Yeah,
But
I see
yeah,
that.
she's a good character. They kind of that scene. So the principal comes in the young nun's classroom and
Hmm.
kind of checks things out. And there's some really kind of interesting stuff about pencils versus ballpoint pens.
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
Because she's big. The older nun is big on the proper penmanship. So she's like, "How did this
Hmm.
ink pen get in here? How did you let this in your classroom?"
Yes.
And so the older nun, the principal, tells Amy Adams to put up a picture of the Pope on the chalkboard
Mm.
so that
Yeah.
she can see the activity. Make them
Yes.
think that you're always watching. And then it like happens, where that one boy gets up in class and
Yes.
sneaks around to talk to the girl, and she's
Hmm.
able to like correct him without turning around. So I think it kind of shows that she was open to learning about being a disciplinarian, but also hopefully doing it with love. So yeah, it was a very good. It's the kind of natural juxtaposition that you need for the show to be about doubt and having doubt and what do we do with our doubts when we're not sure. So those are they're the kind of two classic
Yin and the
characters that
yang,
were
kind of.
needed.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were both needed to show the yin and the yang, if you will.
I think she even says in that scene, she's like, "Oh, but that's not the current pope," and she's like, "It doesn't matter which pope it is, just put a picture
Right?
up." Like,
Yeah, doesn't matter which
yeah,
pope it is, right?
yeah. So
Yeah,
I
that
like
was
the
funny.
classroom scene. So again, the movie sets up that this is about a young, a relatively new young priest coming in here. That's very lovable from what we've seen so far. It's very lovable. You have the sister James, played by Amy Adams, very similar to the priest, and then the principal of the school. She's kind of hardline, watching everything, and you see the dynamic, what you were describing, and you see the tension. That's where the tension comes in. And one of the scenes they show like a contrast, and it gets in the part where I really like the cast of nuns that were around her too, because in one of the
Mm-hmm.
scene you see the priest eating, and I think it's with the is it a monsignor or a bishop, and they're like
Mm-hmm.
they're drinking and smoking cigars and eating good food, a steak, I believe, and then they're laughing and
Yeah.
joking, and then all of a sudden the scene goes to that, and then it goes immediately to the sister's table, and they're like all quiet, and like the food's not that
Uh-huh.
good, and then the food's quiet, and then you have the oldest sister, she like needs help. So like people are, the other nuns are watching out for her because she's very elderly. But I like the whole dynamic because again, they didn't have big lines; they just had a few lines. But all the nuns in there, when they were in the scene, I thought it was pretty like heartwarming and funny. And it was like, oh, it's a good insight of like this group, headed by Meryl Streep, keeping everybody in line, but then the group of nuns, helping each other out, and especially the elderly one, and Amy Adams is the young one trying to help out as best she can, but they're like eating and everybody's like quiet, and you see the dynamic. Maybe it's like it could be seen as a multiple layers. I think one layer is like, oh, Meryl Streep's kind of like heart cold-heartedness, kind of like
Mm.
making the group kind of like, oh, we can't talk, we can't do this, and then as the father of the parish, he's there with the other priests, and they're have more of a lighthearted attitude, and more of a openness, and they're talking and they're having a good time. That's one
Uh-huh.
layer I could see it, and also I could also see maybe trying to make a political statement like, oh, look, the men are doing this, and then the women are doing. So I could see it both ways. As I took it both ways as
Mm.
both kind of statement. How did you take that scene?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think kind of like any good movie, that's what kind of grew on me over time with Doubt, is that the scenes have different layers of meaning, and it's really good. So I think a couple things was just kind of the personality, right?
Yes.
So the principal nun runs a tight ship.
Yeah.
We're gonna follow the rules. Our fun is gonna be following the rules.
Yeah.
It's gonna be quiet. It's gonna be orderly, and I'm in charge. And so the priest is louder. He's brash. They're drinking wine. They're eating big bloody steaks. You know, they're smoking.
That looked delicious.
They're
That
laughing
looked,
it up. And I think I kind of saw that too, as a bit of the. So it's the '60s, and
Yes.
you know the council is going on, the Second Vatican
Wow.
Council.
I did not think about that.
So there's kind of even like some, just kind of, you know, different interpretations of holiness, of religious life, of following Jesus. And the council did kind of put a lot of emphasis on a lot of different things than the church had been focusing on before that. So yeah, I think some of that was going on there too.
I did not
so
think
obviously,
about that. Yeah, that it was going around in the '60s. Also, too, real quick, Halloween just passed, and I was actually the spirit of Vatican II. So I went around in a big cloth and as the spirit of Vatican II.
Whoa.
A little Halloween Catholic joke there, right there.
Uh-huh,
little
there you
Halloween
go.
Catholic joke. So then we see, as the movie progresses, like towards the middle, you see one of the boys, the one that was in the beginning that was an altar server. Remember, this is after they planted the toxic seed of doubt in Sister Mary and James, the kind of gullible, lighthearted one. So she's on the lookout. Remember, she's on the lookout, and she sees the boy come back, and I think she said that she smelled alcohol on him, and then later on, Father comes down. I think they're doing like a singing game, or I think they're singing in gym or something, and he comes down and puts something in the locker, and then Sister James, she gets up and like already with this sneaky suspicion, she sneaks over there and sees what it is, and it's like I think his shirt or coat or something like that. So that's where you start to see like the suspicious. And then also a really good scene, I thought it was a really good scene, is the cat scene.
That is my job.
But maybe it's nothing.
Then why do you look like you've seen the devil?
It's just the way the boy acted when he came back to class.
He said something?
No, it was his expression. He looked frightened. And he put his head on the desk in the most peculiar way, and one other thing, I think there was alcohol on his breath. There was alcohol on his breath.
Years ago at St. Boniface, there was a priest. But I had Father Scully then. Here, there's no man I can go to. Men run everything. We are going to have to stop him ourselves.
There we go. She got him. Takes a cat.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
That's where Meryl Streep, the principal, and Sister James, they start talking, and they're like, well, what did you see? He's like, well, this is what I saw, and then, gossip, and this, and he smelled like alcohol, and she's like, oh, you should have told me, and kind of, she's almost happy, like, I knew it, you know what I mean? Like, oh, I knew it. I knew this is happening. Now more of what they're trying to get at is they already have their suspicions of that something, it was like an inappropriate relationship between the priest and the young altar server, and so now you see that it's a cat and mouse game. So can you take us through that?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think you described it really well. Yeah, there's a lot, as I said, in a good movie, there's lots of those, where the scenes are foreshadowing, or the scenes have like different levels of meaning. And yeah, I mean, I think that's one of the beautiful things of the movie is there's lots of hints that something inappropriate is going on. And it is like a rat, and we're looking to sniff out this rat. But then, in a way that keeps you always wondering, like you never know for sure. But yeah, that's a powerful scene. And definitely, yeah, Sister James, the principal, is on the lookout for Father. You know, so they've got their suspicions. They've planted the seeds, and yeah, that's just a powerful example of that with that scene. It's a good point.
Yes, and then finally they start to confront him, and that's where they go to the principal's office, and that is that was a powerful scene. If I could ever see, I mean that was one of my favorite scenes. Is you have the two sisters, and then finally confronting Philip Seymour Hoffman's character inside the office, and it's very uncomfortable. It's very uncomfortable. It's very. It starts off simple. It starts off with talking about Christmas. And can you walk us through that scene? That's funny. It starts off. It's very tense, but then lighthearted because they're talking about what, Frosty the Snowman.
Yeah. Well, they're talking about the Christmas pageant, and they're wondering if they should do a secular song.
Yes.
And of course, the principal's like, "What will we do a secular song for?" And naive sister, the young sister, is like, "Oh well, I like Frosty the Snowman."
It's like, that's magic or something.
The other super tense, awesome part is around the tea with the sugar. Remember that? So,
yes,
Father, would you like some tea? Oh, I'd love some tea. Would you like sugar? 1 or 2? I'll take 3. And it's just another example of like how grating that this priest is to the nun, to the old nun.
Yes.
That he doesn't follow the traditional rules. He
Yes.
seems to be super willing to push the boundaries, or just take things less seriously than she would. So it's just like another example of the distrust for him and the dislike for him. But yeah, it gets really tense in a kind of a cat and mouse way,
Because they say it without saying it, right? Like, it takes them a while to actually. He's like, "What are you implying?"
You held a private meeting with him at the rectory a week ago?
Yes.
What are we talking about?
Donald Miller?
The boy acted strangely when he returned to class.
He did.
When he returned from the rectory, a little odd, yes.
Can you tell us why?
How did he act strangely?
I'm not sure how to explain it. He laid his head on the desk and
Do you mean you had some impression?
Yes.
And he come from the rectory, so you're asking me.
That's it.
Did you want to discuss the pageant? Is that why I'm here? Is this what you wanted to discuss?
This.
Well, I'm a little uncomfortable.
Why?
Why do you think?
The boy's well-being is my responsibility.
His well-being is not at issue.
I'm not satisfied that is true. He was upset when he returned to class.
Did he say something?
No.
What happened in the rectory?
Happened? Nothing happened. I had a talk with a boy.
What about?
Private matter.
He's 12 years old. What could be private?
Should I get the...
No.
I object to your tone.
This is not about my tone.
Right. Well, so the thing about the Christmas pageant is they're wondering how to use the one student, the Donald Miller, who's the one African American student, and the one that the young sister smelled the alcohol on his breath, and they're suspicious of Father, the Philip Seymour Hoffman character. So it kind of all boils into like, what are you insinuating, sister? And she just comes out and says it, did you or did you not give him alcohol? And he keeps trying to beat around the bush, and he doesn't want to give any details. And I don't if you want to take it from there or what you want to say about it.
Yeah,
But
he doesn't.
It's really powerful.
Yeah, because it's weird. Because very powerful, tense, and with funny moments. The sugar, the songs. It's a pagan. It's magic and all this stuff.
Right.
But then with
Who keeps
this,
opening my window?
yes, yeah. That
Yeah.
is great.
What is it about the window? What do you think?
Well, it's gonna come up a little bit, and it's about to come up in a little bit in the movie, and then I think it's again they just put little nuggets, and I was like, oh, it ties in. So that's gonna tie in like shortly. You're gonna see that be fulfilled or tie in. But yes, who keeps opening this window and the wind's blowing and everything, and the leaves are flying, and you're like, oh, was there anything inappropriate? And he's like, are you kidding me? Getting on that. And he doesn't want to say it. And then we find out why is because apparently he's getting beat by his father and that he drank communion wine. And Father Flynn took kindly to this boy because of this is the 60s and he's the only African American boy. So he takes him under his wing. And that's why he's being close to him out of pure charity and out of pure, protecting him. And he wants to be an altar server, remember, in the beginning. So he wants him to live out, if that's meant to be his vocation, fulfill his role. And he wants him to do good, and he loves the altar service. The little boy, he loves it. So he didn't want to tell anybody, because if he did, then he would have to kick him out. He would not be an altar boy no more. And so Father Flynn was trying to avoid that, but then once he had to spill it out. So then he was like, see what you've done now. Now now I have to do this, because I believe he only told his bishop or his monsignor. So they were the only ones that knew. That's why he goes, tell him, go ahead, talk to him. And it doesn't matter. Again, all the evidence, she already made up her mind. The principal already made up her mind, because he's like, oh, he's just going to tell me what he's just going to cover up for you and all this stuff. So I thought that was very powerful scene. And then they start talking about gossip. And then that's when Philip Seymour and then intolerance, because remember he pulls out the book too, and she goes, what are you writing down? And he goes, get ideas for, homilies and stuff. And they're like, what is it about? Intolerance.
Yeah.
so yeah,
cool.
Yeah, intolerance. I like that scene. But then it gets heated, so he's like, no, nothing happened. This is why. So then we find out why. And then Sister James, she's like happy. She's like, oh, thank God, that's it.
There it is. There's the answer.
And she's like, no, I don't believe him. She's like, I've known men like him. And again, she never says, because she moved and she moved around, and she never they never explain her to say, but she's like, oh, I knew men like him or something like that, or she knew someone like him. So she's not convinced. She's not convinced at all. So then the next scene is the gossip homily. And this is where it ties in, the window. Remember about the window always blowing and you see the leaves and everything. So then it was a wonderful homily. Wonderful homily, the gossip homily. And it comes into play because they're talking about gossip, how bad is it a sin? And then in the story, he's telling about like an Irish priest, and one of the confessors is like, oh, yes, I gossip, and it's not that bad or whatever. He's like,
not so fast, says O'Rourke. I want you to go home, take a pillar up on your roof, cut it open with a knife, then return here to me. So the woman went home, took a pillow off her bed, a knife from the drawer, went up the fire escape to her roof, and stabbed the pillow. Then she went back to the old parish priest as instructed. Did you gut the pillow with a knife? He says. Yes, Father. And what was the result? Feathers, she said. Feathers, he repeated. Feathers everywhere, Father. Now, I want you to go back and gather up every last feather that flew out on the wind. Well, she said, it can't be done. I don't know where they went. The wind took them all over. And that, said Father O'Rourke, is gossip.
and the window thing ties into that homily
There you go.
about
Nice.
the open window. And because remember, even shows when he's telling the story, it even shows like a guy like opening up a window and letting the pillowcase out, and the wind just takes it, and the wind will come up later in his final homily, but the wind takes it, and he's like, now pick up every single one of the feathers, and he's like, that is gossip. And it's kind of saying how when it gets out, it's hard to take it back, pretty much. Like, it's hard to take it back. So I love that homily. What can you elaborate on gossip in general?
Yeah. Actually, if I could go back for a second to the... So I got the impression, or did you get the impression also that there was something that maybe this the Donald Miller character, the African American boy, was also homosexual?
Yes, that definitely came.
That was part of why his dad was beating him, right?
Yes, okay. That scene, up until that scene, I don't think they like mentioned it. Wait, hold on, let me think, because I know it comes up later.
It's kind of insinuated, right?
I think so. I believe so. I know later it definitely is, but I think in that office scene, I think he might have mentioned something, but like a very...
Well, part of it comes from that powerful scene where the older principal Nunn goes on a walk with the boy's mother.
Yes, that comes after the homily.
Really intense talk. Yeah.
Yeah.
And it seems like the mother sort of insinuates that the boy gets beat, like,
yes,
because he's that way or something like that.
Yeah, I definitely got that. That was after the gossip homily. Yeah, on The Office, I'm not too sure if they did, but definitely after like the whole gossip homily that he had later on. Played by Miss Miller, played by Viola Davis. Great actress. Great performance. She was only in there a few minutes. She has a performance with Meryl Streep, and then they go on the walk. Yeah, and then later, definitely, because she says something about like, well, maybe that's the only love he feels, or maybe that's okay. And she says something about, because Meryl Streep goes something about like, oh, I don't care about the nature, I just care about actions. And then something about she's like, something about his nature. So they're saying like his nature, and then something about like maybe like allow it almost. Like Viola Davis is almost like okay with it, you know?
Yeah.
Like she's almost like, yeah, so what? It's only gonna be for until the end of the month or whatever.
Right. If that priest is abusing him, I don't care.
Yeah. She says something like that.
I just need it for a couple more months. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it kind of casts, if you will, casts more doubt on the situation.
Yes.
Because you wonder exactly, what the boy is going through. You wonder why his dad is beating him. You wonder why the mother is so willing to let her boy be harmed, and how much, is it harming him?
Yeah.
I guess immediately, the wonder is whether or not, the priest character is telling the truth, or whether he's hiding the truth.
Yeah, there's one scene that's in the office. Father Flynn, he does say something like real quick in the office, like before when they first confront him about the Christmas song and all that. He says something about kind of like something like, I understand his nature, or something like that. Like he says something like that, like where it kind of almost insinuates that he might have that attractions, because he I don't remember how he put it, but he says something about like on the account of I know his nature, or on account of he's real quick. It's a real like blink if you missed it. So like the whole movie's like, wait a minute, what's going on? Like because you're like no, and then you're like yes, and then you're like no, and you're like wait, what's going on? And so the movie it definitely does something like that. But I wanted to ask you like if you had like a super short homily on gossip, like what's a few sentences you can say about the dangers of gossip getting out?
Yeah.
Especially when it could be like something that could hurt somebody, like a teacher, a priest, a police officer, something in a profession. Yeah. That could end somebody's career.
Yeah. So one of the ways I look at it is like if you know somebody has done something wrong, like, it's not always gossip to tell someone else. You just have to tell the right people at the right time.
I see.
Like, you don't want to tell people that don't, I don't go tell my next door neighbor stuff that they don't need to know. There's
Yeah. There you go.
If your friend calls you, you don't have to tell them everything about your son.
Yeah.
But if the police come, it's like, okay, well, they have a right to this information. So,
Or a family member that's close or something like that.
yeah. Well, even with family members, you don't, if they, well, how's little Billy doing? Well, if little Billy's, running the streets and selling drugs, like, I don't know, you don't have to tell your family all of your business all the time. So, we want to tell the right information at the right time to the right people. And I just was advising someone yesterday. Someone was, talking about gossip at work, and everybody will kind of stand around and be, oh, our boss is, so bad, this and that, the other thing. So, the best thing to do is to just, remove yourself from the situation. But that can be really difficult. And something I like to try and do is like be the antidote to the gossip. So if people are saying, even if they're true, saying bad things about somebody to kind of tear them down, I think it's helpful to also to try and be the antidote to build the person up. So
that's good.
So my boss is, he's always late and it doesn't seem like he's doing his work, but he always brings donuts on Friday and he gave me my Christmas bonus on time, so to try and like punctuate the negative by also looking for the positive things within people. And I think that kind of like trains our hearts, trains our minds over time to not just look at the negative and gossip.
This movie, like I said, it had funny scenes, heartwarming scenes, sad scenes, almost everything in there. But one of the most heartwarming scenes was, after all that, now the father's kind of like, Father Flynn's hesitant to like be seen around the boy. So he almost like, there's one scene where he's like, oh, hey, father. And he just like, hey. And then he goes inside real quick. And then the little boy, Miller, he kind of gets sad and walks off. And then all of a sudden, like a boy runs by him and knocks him down and all his books fall. And he's, sad. And then all of a sudden you see the scene come. And then Father Flynn is right there to pick him up, and he just puts his arm around him and says, it's okay, and he walks with him and he helps him. I thought that was a very heartwarming one, where it kind of shows the his heart, and then finally you get the Meryl Streep and Father Flynn confrontation, the big one where she goes, I talked, because she had talked to the mother, and the mother was like, so what, kind of like almost as if she didn't care. So then she's like, and then she says something like, I called your last parish. She doesn't have no compassion. She has no mercy. And it's just, she's wonderful scene between these great actors just throwing everything on the line. And then that's another weird part, because it's like, wait a minute. It makes you even doubt too, because like, I was like, no, this guy's a good guy. And then she says something like, I called your last person, and he doesn't like say like, oh, you caught me, but he doesn't like deny it. It's like, so what? I don't care. So finally he ends up leaving, and one of his last homilies in the church, he talks about, I like this because I wrote this down, because I was like, I'm going to try to use that, like in God's, his permissive will and his active will.
Right.
So I wrote this down where he says something about that I don't, he's giving his homily, saying goodbye, and he's very sad. And he's like, the wind has taken me somewhere else.
I never like to say goodbye. But there's a wind behind every one of us that takes us through our lives. We never see it. We can't command it. We don't even know its purpose. I would have stayed among you longer, but that wind is taking me away. I will miss it here. I will miss you. But I'm content that the power that propels me does so with superior knowledge as to what is for the best. And that is my faith.
But he has confidence that the win is backed by superior knowledge. Talking about God, like that, even if it's something that he doesn't want, even if it's something that comes around through a bad way, like he has the faith that he's being taken, even if it's somewhere or in bad circumstances, that it is God behind the win, and through his maybe not active will, but through permissive will, he trusts in the superior knowledge of the win, and the win again comes into factor in his last final homily. So could you walk us through kind of like what we just talked about, and how did you feel about that whole end scene?
For me, the most powerful scene at the end was, I think right after that, where the principal, the older nun, is sitting outside.
The final, the final one.
Yeah. Yes. Because, like, you know, for me, I was pretty convinced. It's like, oh, he did it. You know, he's leaving the parish. He's willing to resign. He freaked out when the principal said she talked to someone else at his last parish. He started caving to her demands. It's like, oh, he's guilty, you know, no doubt about it. But then at the last scene, you know, the Meryl Streep character is sitting out in the cold by herself.
Yes.
And the younger nun comes.
Yeah.
And she is obviously shook up. Mm-hmm. And she says that I have such doubts. Yes. You know, like, well, yeah, you know, Father's leaving. Aren't you happy? And she's like, I have such doubts. And then she has her like crucifix from her rosary.
Yes. Yeah.
Like in her hand on her knees, and she like flips it over. And I like fast forwarded to that scene like 10 times. I was like, wait, what does that mean? Like she's turning away from Christ, or Christ is turning away from her, or so you find out that she didn't actually call the other parish, or if she did call, she didn't actually talk to anyone, or whatever she made up. But it's like, well, if it wasn't true, then why would he cave to that possibility that she did call? But then she's all shook up by the doubt.
You lied?
Yes. But if he'd had no such history, lie wouldn't have worked. His resignation was his confession. He was what I thought he was. And he's gone.
I can't believe you lied.
In the pursuit of wrongdoing, one steps away from God. Of course, there is a price.
I see.
Oh, Sister James.
What is it, sister?
I have doubts. I have such doubts.
And it's powerful. Yeah, you don't know. So the other thing is, it's like there have been, yeah, I mean, you know, another question is like about that sort of clericalism and like putting the priest on the pedestal and shuffling them around, because I mean that happened unfortunately probably thousands of times in the country in the 60s and 70s and 50s. So yeah, it's a very, there's a lot of doubt. Who's right, who's wrong, did she do the right thing, why is she so upset? So
I personally think this is my theory.
yeah.
Because again, earlier, if you watched the first time, again, the Christmas scene, I guess we'll call it, when the Christmas music,
Okay.
the infamous Frosty the Snowman scene.
Yes.
He says something like, the way he phrases a word, something about the boy's nature. Like he says something like, "I confide in that," or "I understand." Whatever he says, it alludes to like he might have sex attraction. And then when she called, because I don't know why. I don't think it was anything. I think it was innocent. I think it was what he said it was. Is the boy drank communion wine and he was just looking out for him. I don't think anything inappropriate happened. What I think it is again, and then later on, like in the final or the final confrontation, when she says, "I called your parish," I think, well, it was a lie, but he didn't know that. I think it was that, again, he says something similar that makes it kind of seems like he has same-sex attraction, that he's not doing anything. And the church says that, like, the church doesn't say just because you have thoughts or feelings, you're wrong. It just says you can't act on them. Like in the catechism.
Right.
That's why I try to tell people with same-sex attraction, like, no, it's not that you're bad. It's you live you're called to live a chaste life, just like straight couples are called to live chastely. You're to live to live, chastity and celibacy, if that's the path that you take or you decide or whatever. So and there's programs that help people with same-sex attraction channel that and live with the church's teaching within it. And there's a good community. I think one of them's called Eden Invitation. You guys should check it out. It's really good. So. And when she threatened to call his old parish, and I talked to the last nun, or I talked to the last so and so, or last principal, I'm thinking that he was thinking, oh man, they told him that I struggle with same-sex attraction, never acted out, but that I'm, and this is the '60s, and I never, I struggle with same-sex attraction, and they found out. Now I gotta leave because then she's gonna out me. That's my theory. Because I don't think he did anything. I really don't. Just from the way.
Okay.
And then, of course, at the end when she's like, "I have doubts," and I honestly think it is doubts about Father Flynn, but also doubts about her own faith. I really think that, to me, that struck with me. That I think is like, no, she's not just talking about Father Flynn. She's also talking about her own crisis of faith.
Sure.
And that's what I got from that.
Because she uses a line like, in order to find the truth, you have to turn your back on Jesus, or something.
She says something like that. Yeah, that she has to turn her back from the cross, or that she's turn away from Christ. Yeah, she says something like that. And so maybe she's too far gone that she doesn't know. She has doubts if she could even come back after what she did.
Yeah, it's powerful. I mean, I think that's what's such a great movie is like, my interpretation leans that's what's so beautiful is you never know, right?
Yeah,
so I actually think he was guilty of something, just because of the way they paint him in a creepy light. Like the thing with his fingernails, he's like, "Look at these fingernails, boys." It's like,
I forgot about that.
Sorry, like
I
that,
forgot
that's
about
just
the fingernail.
creepy. Just kind of the way he preaches and the way he like acts around the kids, I thought was creepy. And just I'm pretty convinced by even though it's a false threat, like the threat, the way he reacts after she says that I called your last parish, it's like, okay, he's hiding something. Right? Like,
definitely. He is hiding something.
Right?
And, but that's the beauty of films. It's so subjective.
Right.
I think
you
it's,
don't know. So
like
is it abuse?
Attraction.
Is it homosexuality?
Yeah.
Is it homosexual abuse? Is it, who knows? Is it just drinking? So.
Oh yeah, I never thought about that. Something. I know there's something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. So, but it's powerful, and I unfortunately, sadly, there's been so many cases of abuse and shuffled around priests that I'm just almost convinced by it. But
Yeah, no, definitely.
you still doubt, right? Yeah,
exactly. And this movie is
really
full
well
of that.
done.
This is a really well done movie. If you guys have not seen it, I would encourage everybody to check it out. The performances are top notch, amazing.
Right.
Like, this is a really good movie, and I like, once again, I thank you for turning me on to this movie, because I remember I was interested in it, and then this is 2008, so it just kind of fell off. Like, well, it's been so long that I'm not gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna watch that movie again, until you told me about it. I was like, you know what, I'm gonna actually, I'm gonna check that out. So, check it out. It's a very good movie, and I'm curious to know what other people who have seen the movie. I'm going to ask them, like, hey, have you seen this movie? What do you think? On Rotten Tomatoes currently, it is at a 79% certified fresh. So so that's and the audience score is similar. It's like 78% fresh. That's pretty good. Usually, if a movie's, and again, this movie's not for everybody. It's a slow burn. But I love these dramas, but it's not for somebody like, there's no lightsaber in this movie. Wait, there's no X-wing. Wait,
no gunshots.
Nobody has superhuman strength in this movie. Yeah, no, it's not. I love blockbuster Marvel movies and all that, DC, but
no nudity.
I love these slow.
It has
burn
Amy
movies.
Adams, but she's covered up by lots of cloth.
Yes,
in every scene.
Yes, it has from head to toe. Yes, great movie. You guys should definitely check it out. All right, so Father Brandon Berg, thank you again for coming on and talk about doubt. I love this. This was really good. I want to do more movies. We should do more. There's movies with religious themes, and then some with like subtle religious themes. Especially like Ridley Scott movies. Yeah, he has movies that talk about God or religion, but not in a like this. This is obviously about. This is very Catholic Church, Catholic school.
Sure.
This is very, but there are other movies that have subtle hints of God, Jesus, the Catholic Church. So, all right, man. So once again, thank you guys for joining us. If you guys could rate us on Apple, if you can find Spotify, Google Podcasts, anywhere you find them, and please share with your friends. Greatly appreciate it. Once again, I am Roger, and could you sign us off and then maybe do a quick Glory Be?
Sure, yeah. This is Father Brandon Berg, OFM Cap here in Colorado Springs, Colorado. Proud to be Christian genuflexing tonight with your boy Roger.
Yeah.
And we'll see you on another episode. Glory be to the Father, to the Son, and to the Holy Spirit, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen.
Amen.
Thanks, Roger.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in, everybody.